Good morning and welcome back to the Lovin Dubai show. You might have seen our guest floating around your social media feeds, bringing joy and laughter to all of his followers with relatable video content and brilliant impersonations. Please welcome Shawn from My Parents Are Divorced. How are you doing?
I'm good. I didn't know what to do. I got shy.
I like this. Hey guys, how are you? Welcome. How's your morning?
It's good. It's good. I'm excited to be here. I got to watch the show in the other room, so I got to see all the stuff. I'm excited for the fight on Friday. That's this Friday.
The fight this Friday.
That happened.
Yeah, that happened. Yeah, we
I
have
just
that
saw
rerun.
the shoe being thrown. It reminded me of the George Bush video in like 2007. You know, the older one, the guy threw the shoe at him.
No.
In the old press conference.
Someone threw a shoe at George Bush.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, in Hart. So shout out to that guy. It was really funny. So when I saw him throw the shoe, I was like, it gave me flashbacks, and I was like, there's going to be a war.
Do you think that is a good way to get engagement online with that type of behavior?
I'm not going to say anything about condoning any sort of behavior, but again, if you do want to hype up something like that, which is, you know, an influencer fight, and again, influencer fighting isn't necessarily the most, it's not like it's out of respect and, you know, these fighters have been training for years, their entire life. It's more like they're sparring it out, they're having a good time, they're gaining some views. So yeah, I mean, like, do whatever you have to do to gain some views. I get it.
It's entertainment, I agree.
Yeah, and I saw the flower was like a completely new thing. You know, you might see someone like spit or they say something, but then the flower was... That was interesting.
Exactly. And if anyone's going to get stuff to go viral, it's those guys. And they did.
Yeah, they did.
Got a lot of views.
Hats off. Hats off.
Let's do a quick recap. Tell people a little bit about yourself, about your pages, and what you're doing on social media.
So I started off on Instagram. I don't know how, like 2 years ago, but I never took it serious. Even now, I just post kind of inconsistently. And I like doing accents and impersonations. I don't mean it to be offensive, although sometimes things can come across as offensive. But mainly, I just try to focus on comedy. I just want to make people laugh. I had the happiest joys making my mom laugh growing up, and I just kind of want to project that onto other people. I think, and I would say some of my humor is quite stupid, but I like stupid humor because it applies to everyone. Whether you're smart or you're stupid, everyone's gonna laugh at something, right? So I like to do that. So TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, the classics.
Yeah.
I recently got into podcasting. I invested in some mics and a little setup for my house. To kind of gauge the other side of me, which I like to talk about some serious things. I'm super into like meditation, alternative healing, kind of just getting to know the other side of me. So it's a weird balance. I have, you know, this page that's purely about comedy. I don't do anything political. I don't do anything serious. It's just purely about, acting and just creating these like little characters with their own stories in the nutshell. Yeah. And then the podcast is more about something that hopefully someone can relate to. You know, growing up, all of us have had our own little trials and tribulations, and then I hope someone can resonate with my story, and then, you know, even if it's one person out of 100, that's still one person's life you at least impacted a bit. So that's kind of me. My name is My Parents Are Divorced on the platform.
We have
for
it here.
Obvious reasons. Because and that's the number one question I always get. They go like, are your parents really divorced? And I'm like, what? Who's gonna make that up?
Yeah.
So that's kind of me.
Take us right back. You said you have great memories making your mom laugh growing up. So can you remember like the first time that your mom was like either like rolling over the floor laughing, or the first time that you were like, oh, I'm really actually having I'm funnier than other people.
Yeah. So it's more my mom's a super hardworking woman. I mean, I don't remember the time she wasn't working 2 to 3 jobs. She raised me and my sister alone. So she really put in like a lot of effort. And I remember just one day her coming home, and I remember watching this show. It was called Mind Your Language, and it's a really old show, and it's an amazing show. And I remember just impersonating like every character that was there, and she used to love that show. And she thought it was on for a second, so I remember she was in the kitchen. And she turned around, and then she's just like, "Did you just do that?" And I was like, "Yeah, I was." I don't even remember how old I was, and I just remember her like kind of like chuckling. And then like the second I saw her like de-stress for a second, like her shoulders kind of dropped for a minute. That for me was just like the moment where I knew that I felt connected to something.
Wow.
And then, you know, fast forward like a decade and a half later, I started stand-up, and I remember being on stage for the first time, and I was really nervous. I got heckled, and it was like such a like traumatizing experience, but it was really fun because I got to push myself into a different territory that I've never been in, and I've always wanted to do stand-up. And being on stage, like talking to people, and then visually seeing people's, like, I don't want to say pain go away for a bit, but you can see them not think about anything but the joke you just said, right? And then watching them kind of, their face lights up, and you see them visually forget about whatever, and they're focusing with you. it's a beautiful feeling. And I remember at that moment I felt super connected, and I was like, okay, this is what I want to be doing. Although I'm not doing it right now, I do want to do that.
Was it hard to get back on the stage a second time if you were heckled the first time?
Yes, it was super hard. Luckily, so how it worked out is that I messaged someone, a guy, his name is Comedy Boss. He's like, he does stand up here. I think he.
And was this in Dubai, by the way?
Yes, yes. So again, Dubai doesn't have a massive stand up community, but it's really been growing thanks to these guys that have been doing shows regularly. And I remember messaging him saying I'm a big fan and like wondering if I can come to the show to meet him. And then he said, apply for this link. This show is 2 weeks later, but then come through on the week before. So in my head, I was coming to just meet him, you know, shake his hand, get to know the feel of the game and just understand it. But it turns out I was performing that night. So I had no idea because I'm a bit stupid. I didn't pay attention to the words. And so it was very hard, but then I had already booked a show, or I entered for like a little comedy contest for the second show. So even if I wanted to, I couldn't. So I had to go to that second show. And then luckily I won. It was 10 contestants, 4 amateurs, including myself, and then 6 pros, or I mean, whatever you define as who's seasoned comedians.
Yeah.
And then it was wedding themed, and I have a lot of wedding stories. So yeah, that's how I kind of got into it. But then I took a pause. At the time I was in university, and I was working part-time as well, so I didn't have any time. But then now that I have a little bit more time to focus on comedy, I'm starting to jump into that.
You already kind of touched on why your page is called My Parents Divorced. And people ask you, so what, obviously you've said that your parents are divorced, but what was really the thought process about using that name? Because it can be quite emotional for some people.
Yeah. I mean, that's the whole point. I mean, you take something, I mean, that's for me, that's comedy in its nutshell, right? You take something that's controversial or painful or sensitive for someone, and then you desensitize it by the best feeling on earth, which is laughter, right? My name originally was Laughing in Arabic because I had this concept of fusing Western type of humor with, you know, being brought up in the Middle East. And then I just remember one day I wanted to change the name, and then just the first thing that popped out was My Parents Are Divorced. And immediately, I don't know if people got notifications that a name was changed, but I got like tons of messages like left and right, people going like, I love this name, this is it, this is the one.
Nice.
And for the first time I felt like, I was like, yeah, this is the one. Like I felt like myself connect to it for a little bit. So yeah, and then again, you know, people who do go through divorce, or they have, you know, a little bit of domestic unsettlement, I think it's a good way for them to look at it and be like, what is this? And then they jump into it, and then maybe they can laugh as well. So it's kind of an eye-catching thing. I don't know how you guys came across it. I'm glad you did.
Yeah, I think Shahir was the one who set it up, so it's all good. Let's do a quick summary, like maybe not some quick answers, but give us like a little brief response to who's your favorite comedian?
Oh, Dave Chappelle.
Oh yeah,
Dave Chappelle, Bernie Mac. I think Kevin Hart in the earlier days was one of my favorite comedians ever. But yeah, I mean, Dave Chappelle is like an awesome. I mean, Russell Peters is someone I grew up watching, so a lot of my humor is based on him. So it's actually a dream of mine to meet Russell Peters. So if you're watching,
well, Kevin Hart, actually, I know you didn't say it's a dream, but he's coming to like do some time in Abu Dhabi. That sounds like he's going for prison. He's not going to prison. He's going to chill and have a good time in Abu Dhabi and Yas Island. So maybe.
Yeah, I mean, any of these comedians that I grew up watching, it would be a dream to meet them. But Russell Peters was one of the first comedians I ever got put onto. And then Dave Chappelle was right there as well. And then Kevin Hart, I remember watching his first stand-up show. It was in a club in America, and he was like 19, and I was like, this guy's amazing.
Nice.
So yeah, if any of you are watching,
that would be awesome. If you were watching, that'd be a dream for me too. Yeah. Favorite social platform?
I want to say Vine.
Interesting.
I miss Vine so
you missed
much.
it. I was going to say, is that still happening?
No, it's completely dead. But I mean, 7 seconds, that's all you had, and there was no editing. You just had to do whatever you had. There was a lot of cringy content. I mean, cringy content can be anywhere, right? But you had 7 seconds to do everything and make someone laugh, and that for me was amazing. I mean, some people found it easier because you had 7 seconds, but then I would say since Vine isn't present anymore, I think TikTok and Instagram are, I don't know, they've just taken over so much that I don't think there's any other comparison now. And YouTube has been, I don't think you can call it a social media platform anymore. Like, it's definitely its own streaming content. It's definitely its own platform. 100%. So I would say TikTok and Instagram.
Favorite audience of yours?
Favorite audience?
Like where are they most engaged? Instagram?
Oh, Instagram for sure. Okay. Instagram like 100%. Like when I went to when I eventually started building up shows and I posted on my Instagram like come through to this show, I was like amazed because I think like 56% of my following is in UAE and then 43% is in Dubai. So all 43% people showed up, and it was just it was a really cool thing. So shout out to everyone who came to that show like 2 years ago. I don't know if they remember, but I remember, so that's what counts.
What is the favorite piece of content you've created?
I actually I don't have a favorite. To be honest, like,
and I am going to ask for an impersonation too.
Okay.
FYI.
I think I feel like most of my content, any content that I have fun making, is one of my favorites. I think possibly I had one skit where it was in actually lockdown, and funny enough, it was a video you guys posted, and I was watching it, and then nothing to do with it.
Did you do a reaction to a Lovin Dubai video?
No, not a Lovin Dubai video, but there was a video that you guys released.
Could you imagine?
It was really funny because it was the police making sure everyone was staying at home, and there was a guy crossing the street with bags, and then the police was like, "You go home," and he's like, "Okay, after," and like it was really funny, and because like the cops were like kind of being playful with it, and they're like, "Just go home," you know. And it was just like that went really viral, I think, because everyone was sending it to me.
Gotcha.
And then right after that, I just went and I made the video, which was me impersonating like this chef, like this French chef, and I had this like my sous chef, and I was doing this whole like yeah, I'm not depressed, and then I have like whatever. It's a long, go watch it. Okay. Yeah, that was one of my favorite skits.
Can we do an impersonation on the show?
Yes, of course, of course. I don't know. You tell me which one you want.
No, you tell me.
I don't want to. I want
choose
you to,
one that I think that would be recognizable to our audience.
I have a character called Darwin. Is based off one of like my closest like friends growing up. And he's he's from the Philippines. So yeah, I could do him if you want.
Let's go.
Yeah. Okay. What do you want me to say?
Introduce the show as Darwin.
Okay, welcome everybody to Lovin Dubai, where you can find all your latest updates and newses. Dunkin' Donuts was here sponsoring the show, but not actually. Happy birthday to that guy, I forgot his name. He actually went to my university, a small community like that.
Hey Darwin! Spot on for Darwin, I'm sure.
Thank you.
Talk to me about towing the line as a comedian, right? Because let's say, for example, in the UAE, we have a lot of stereotypes, and how, first of all, do you ever get negative responses?
Oh my God.
And what is towing the line for you?
To be honest, I think any line has been crossed the second you step into comedy. Whether you say anything or not, the second you're a comedian, everyone's just like, say something. You know, they're waiting for you to they wait for you to kind of step over so they can say something. I try my best to avoid stereotypes in the sense of not offending anyone. I like to touch on the stuff that everyone can connect to, right? So there are certain stereotypes that are not offensive. They're just generalizations that aren't bad. So I like to kind of dabble in that a little bit. Do I receive hate on it? Of course. I think you had Tam Khan here the other time, and he was saying that, you know, everything online is, you're going to receive controversy regardless, right? And 100%, you can sneeze and someone be like, you didn't use tissue. Like, it's like, I get it. So no matter what you do, you're going to face hate. So for a while it did stop me because it got to my head a lot. Because the whole point I started comedy was to make people laugh. So if people aren't laughing anymore, that defeats my purpose. Until I realized that I was only paying attention to the one or the two rather than the 100 and 200 that are benefiting from it and enjoying it. And then you get in your own head about like, is this cringy? Is this not good? So that's why now I just started being active again, because I was like, forget all that noise. It's time to focus on the goal, which is to make people laugh. And a part of that comedy is I like to impersonate. I don't like to make fun of. I like to impersonate. So Darwin is a character that I like to become. I think in that side of mindset, I like to
and it's
act
a skill.
in that mindset. Thank you.
Yeah.
I mean, I definitely respect people who can imitate. You know, you're paying attention to the linguistics of someone, and then you're trying to mimic that. You're not imitating it to offend. So if it comes across off as offensive, I apologize, but that's not the intention. And then if you want to perceive it that way, I mean, two sides of a coin.
This is it, as in like like voice acting is this whole thing, because you're actually like able to replicate the voice in a good way.
So that's the goal, right? And so I would say, I mean, crossing the line is being directly insensitive. Knowing that someone is facing something that they can't change, you know, probably making fun of a disability, making fun of someone who's faced through a specific trauma, and then neglecting their experience and then just going straight for that joke. Maybe that could be, you know, skewed into a bad like direction. But in the end of the day, I mean, you just try to focus on making someone laugh. So it's a numbers game in the end. So if I have to take one hate for 10 I'm gonna have to do that. Speaking
of a numbers game, but a little bit off topic, how helpful is social media for your career? Because obviously, let's say if a video goes viral and you're like, okay, that's funny, so maybe, or not that's funny, but like people engage with that. So are you going to do 10 more of those because you know it's a good theme topic, or are you actually going to always pursue the topics that you think will make people laugh?
I think that's a really great question. I think people don't really focus on that a lot. They do it subconsciously without focusing on it. In retrospect, I think people follow that train, right? Especially on TikTok, they do like 4 to 5 things. They see one sticks out, then they juice that till it's done, and they move on and so forth. But actually, what a really cool comedian told me once, he said, do your jokes for you. He also said, don't let the bad shows get to your heart, and don't let the good shows get to your head. And if you put that two together, I think you should focus on the content that makes you who you are. You know, if you sidestep to do something that's not a part of your personality, and you sidestep who you are, you're just not going to be. You're not looking at longevity. You're looking at a quick one-time, one-hit wonder. And you're not going to have a fan base that actually cares about you, or people who follow you for a reason. You're going to have people that just jump on the train and jump off the train the second you're off the train. So I think personally for me, I'm just going to keep posting whatever I enjoy. And then like-minded people who enjoy that humor will connect with me. And I've met amazing people off my Instagram page. I've met amazing people off TikTok, and some people off my podcast. And I can see the type of person from each page. TikTok, I'm very similar to my Instagram, but I post a really like random stuff on there.
Yeah, so do we.
Yeah. And then my podcast is a little bit serious. So when I meet people off my Instagram and my TikTok, they're like yelling my characters at me. They're like, Darwin, or they're yelling like Persian Prince, and they're yelling all these characters at me. And they're super high energy. And then the people I meet from my podcast, they're like, hey man, it's really nice to meet you. I'm like, thank you, bro. They're like, I really connected with them. I was like, thanks, bro. Yeah. So I would say back to the first question you said, social media is definitely the future. It's a foundation that's floating. You know, most people used to build careers on TV shows and news channels and stuff like that needs a solid foundation. It needs to be grounded in something. The beautiful thing about the internet and social media in general is that you have a levitating platform. Wherever you go, it goes. You don't need a place. You don't need a full setup. You can do whatever you can with a phone. Like, you know, the guy on TikTok who just points at stuff? Like he like someone will do something complicated, like one of those 5-minute craft videos, and then he'll just do it and then he'll point. He hasn't said a single thing.
You need to show. What is this? I'll find it after.
His name is Lovin.
People basically.
Yeah.
He mocks people.
Yeah.
Okay.
He makes something really complicated, unnecessarily complicated. Like peeling a banana. So it'd go like, he'd peel the banana and go like.
Yeah. So they'll like find an intricate way to like use a tweezer to peel it, and then he'll just point at it. He hasn't said a word for about a year.
Imagine.
And now he's worth $2 million.
My gosh.
And he's the second most followed TikToker in the world.
Wow.
Yeah, and he hasn't said a word.
This is so, how creative you can be. It's incredible.
And this is what I'm saying. It's the future, you know. So, you know, whatever platform you're on, I mean, even the biggest, I mean, it just shows you that CNN, all these massive news channels are on TikTok, right? You have OSN, you have what's
HSBC?
that? No, HBO. HBO.
Oh,
HSBC. These guys are on TikTok, you know? So, I mean, it just shows you if these huge, like, conglomerates are on these platforms, it should show you a sign.
Well, you say it is the future. Of course, it's the future. It's the now and it's the future. We've had some cool local comedians on the show before. We've had our Zoo Comedy and Ali Al Saeed. But just personally, I imagine as a comedian, starting out whatever level you're on, putting your content out there can be scary, especially from the word go. Do you have any tips for anyone kind of interested in a career in comedy but is too nervous to take that first step?
If you're nervous, that's okay. That's perfect. I mean, everyone should be nervous. I mean, I still get nervous. I still haven't done a show because it's nerve-wracking, but I will get back onto it. I will continue posting. So if you are nervous, you just have to push yourself to that point where you force yourself. Find someone that can be accountable and then make them push you, because then you'll feel like you owe them one. On the second stage, if you feel like comedy is not for you, try it, and if you still feel like it's not for you, then it's not for you, because you have to have the heart to weather the hate. You have to weather the dislike. You have to weather the heckles on the first show, where, you know, and you have to also feel like,
screw you hecklers. It's mean.
No, honestly, it's fine, because the next show she came to the same show at the same venue.
You know who it was?
I remember her face like clear as day.
Wow, interesting.
And she actually pulled up to a show. So I did 11 shows in total. She came to the 8th show. And I had a response to her that I'm pretty sure I can't say here.
Can you somehow say it?
No, I think for you, I mean, I don't mind saying it, but it's you guys. You guys are probably like, we can't have him back on again.
We're a family show.
You're a family show.
We can imagine what you're imagining saying.
I mean, I can tell you off camera later. But I said it back to her. I said my comeback to her. And that made me like go, I was like, you know what? I can do shows forever now. Amazing. If I came back to what she said to me, like I can come back. And so that push forward is amazing. So the nervous feeling is good. It means you care. But if you're going to worry, like, should I say anything? Is this going to be offensive? Just push. Just keep doing it. Don't be, insensitive, and don't be rude, and don't be racist. That's the number one thing. People go like, you're racist. I'm like, you have it all messed up. You need to look at the real definitions, believe it yourself, and then move on. Just as cliche as it
That's
sounds,
yeah,
as cliche as it sounds, you have to believe in yourself. As many people that believe in you or don't believe in you, I keep looking at you, tell me not to look there. As many people that don't believe in you, you need to find that one which is you, because if someone believes in you, they can tell you, I believe in you, you're doing great, but it's still you. You have to push yourself, you have to wake up, you have to film, you have to edit. So if it's just you, you're a one-man army, a one-woman army, go for it. You'll be perfect.
Strong advice, thick skin, and believe in yourself. I think we're all trying to believe in ourselves every single day.
A little bit more.
Yeah. Guys, if you want to find Shawn, how can they find you?
On Instagram.
Where do you live? No.
Oh yeah, it's down the road, take a left. I'm on Instagram, I'm on TikTok, I'm on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, any podcast platform. On my podcast is called Product of a Failed Marriage. And all
interesting. It's like my mature place.
And all my other socials are my parents are divorced.
Amazing.
Parents,
I love that definition between the podcast and the
it's Instagram. A little bit of a flip.
Awesome. Thank you so much. That was amazing.
Thank you so much for having me.
We'll be following your journey as you go, and let us know when the next show is. We'd love to come.
Thank you.
Guys, that is it for us on the Lovin Dubai show. We're back with you every single weekday morning, same time, same place. And it's only one more day until the long weekend. Bye. Awesome. Thank you.